Hello everyone, Zed Eldred here. Today I'm going to focus on talking about the benefits of a bike fit and what to look out for when you're considering how close you are in your fit or whether you need a professional fit done or not. First thing I'm going to start with is saddle height is the first thing. I have a link here to direct you to my video that I have on how to set your saddle height. And also in that video, there's a link that will talk about how to get your inseam for cycling. So once you get your inseam and you calculate your saddle height base starting point, you can tweak it after that. In that video, we'll talk about it in details. But basically, when it's dialed in, what you should expect is when you're fully extended means the opposite pedal is parallel to your seat tube. You can see my leg has a slight bend in the knee. It's not locked like that. You never want to be locked. It should be like that, just a slight bend. Now, this is all subjective because there are no hard, fast rules. The base method calculation I talk about in calculating saddle height, it's just a starting point, and then from there you kind of go by and tweak it based on comfort. Because the size of your feet, the thickness of your shoes, all of that factor into your setup. But what I wanted to show you here is you can see how I'm dialed in. Basically, when you're dialed in, your upper body, your arm should have a bend. You can see my elbow is not locked. There's a slight bend in my elbow because these are your shock absorbers. They should not be locked. Your shoulders should not be pushed out like that. It should be relaxed. Everything should be relaxed. Well, that means that the stem is long enough when you're relaxed. If your stem is too long, you will be reaching for it, and that will cause your elbows to lock up, and you will have a lot of pain when you ride in your elbow. By your elbow being bent, having this within the perfect reach for you. You shouldn't be reaching for anything. It should just be there. But all of this is set after making sure your saddle is high enough, forward and aft is set, and your cleats are set to where you're stable back here. If you're not stable back here, the setting here will be off. So keep that in mind. And so when you watch me, when I pedal, if you look at my feet, and that's why I'm wearing these orange shoes so you can see the contrast. At the bottom of the stroke, it looks like I'm scraping something off my shoe. I'm going to slow my cadence down a little bit. I'll put it in a bigger gear here. If you look at my pedaling, that's how I pedal. There are no particular rules that apply to everybody. Some people pedal with their toes pointed down. That's okay. But whatever it is, at the bottom of the stroke, you should be pulling back like you're scraping mud off your shoe. If you can't do that, something's wrong with your setup. That's the first thing to look for. How comfortable are you, whether you're pedaling fast or whether you're muscling a heavier gear. You can see my pedal stroke is the same regardless of my cadence. Because a dynamic rider, which is what you want to be, should be able to pedal a hard gear as well as an easy gear at varying cadences. Now, as far as your cockpit, which is your reach, in this position you can see my elbow is bent, like I said earlier. In my drops, my wrist is straight. If your wrist is not straight, you run the risk of your hands going to sleep. I ride with a lot of guys. I see them during the ride. You may see them yourself. They do this. Their hands going numb. And the reason their hands going numb is weight here. There is a nerve that runs in the middle of your palm. If you have too much weight on there, circulation will cut off to your fingers and your hands will go numb. So what causes that? Saddle be tilted down too much instead of being level, not far back enough to where you're not stable. You should be able to ride like this. And there's a fitter in Australia who does that a lot. He uses that as an example to show whether you have stability. That comes from having a strong core and having a stable saddle position. You should be able to put your arms behind here and ride. You don't need weight on the bars to ride. When you're set up right, what keeps you on the saddle It's your fit. So you just here, it's like you holding the steering wheel in your car. You don't need to have a death grip on it. You don't need to have a lot of weight on it. Your weight is distributed between the saddle and your feet. And the harder you go, the weight transfers from the saddle to your feet. As you begin to really go hard, it transfers. And you basically unload the bars. And I'm going to show you here, if I unload this, watch my cadence. Picked up immediately. You don't even have to think about it. You should be able to ride in all the positions on the bar. Here, here, here. You even see the pros in Europe do this to mimic, it's not the most comfortable thing. I've tried it, it's okay. I don't stay there very long because it's not comfortable on your arms. But for the most part, I like this position here and down here in the hooks. And even in the drops, depending on the bars you have, my bars are deep drop bars. So I have a lot more positions. I have down here, I have here, and I have back here. And in either position, you should be able to wiggle your finger. That means the bars are within reach. They're not too far. And you put your hand around the bar. Where you wrap the bar should be right there. When you close, that's how you know it's not too low or too high. It should be right where your hand wants to be. Well, the only way you can comfortably determine that is after setting here. Everything starts with here. When this is set, everything else is easier to do. And that's why I always recommend people get a fit. I got a fit a long time ago, and keep in mind that the fit is not static. Fit changes. As you ride more, your flexibility will change, things change, you change your shoes, all of that has an impact. I use the shoes made by Giro, and I stick with that brand. I have different kinds of Giro shoes, but I stick with that brand because the stack height is the same. If you switch brands, be careful and make sure that stack heights are the same, because if the stack heights are different, it can affect your saddle height. Like if I went from Giro to CD has a higher stack height, I would need to go up with my saddle because I would be off the saddle because it would push me up. So I went from CD to Giro years ago, and I had to go down on my saddle height. I had to go down about 4 millimeters to accommodate the lower stack height of the Giro shoes. So there are so many factors that affect your fit. And so once you've got your fit dialed in, be careful about the changes that you make to the equipment you're using. You need to understand that. Those are the things we provide to our clients and explain to them so that they become a partner with the fit, so they understand how it works. We basically educate them and not just do a fit and send them out the door. So I wanted to point out, when your fit is right, you should be able to ride down the road, stand, no issues, without changing your pedaling. Your pedaling should not stop when you stand, when everything is set. You shouldn't be fishing around for a particular spot that is comfortable on the saddle because you're already there. You should be able to ride hands-free. You're not riding down the road like that, but this is one of the tests that I have people do when I set their saddle to see whether they can do this and pedal. And to see that by doing that, their pedaling increases right away. Just to show them that by lightening the load on the bars, you go faster. The harder you go, the more relaxed you should be. So, post your comments and questions below. Let me know what you think, what you want to see, as I load more content on this channel about fit. I'm going to be covering climbing, sprinting, fast, flat riding, all of that, and what you need to do. But remember, everything starts with a bike that fits you. If your bike doesn't fit you, you won't enjoy riding it. You won't look forward to riding it. So, be safe on the roads. Thanks for tuning in.